Wake up and welcome to another Wrestling Wednesday at the weekend, because that's when wrestling happens these days. And as always, quick recap of the two best wrestling shows that have been put on this past week. The two wrestling shows I watched this past week. AEW Dynamite and WWE Smackdown. Still not back to Raw. And I don't really miss it, to be honest. So let's jump right into the AEW Dynamite, where Christian Cage and Angelico kicked it off. And I'm always happy to see Angelico. Huge fan ever since, well, he's been in AAA, of course, but then also Lucha Underground. Angelico, this huge, insane jump from the stands down onto the ring. Awesome. So every time Angelico is on TV, I'm gonna watch. And he's just an awesome heel, right? This cockiness. Amazing. He also showed it off. He had a few nice moves and it was just posing Nate Diaz style, if you're into MMA, in the middle of the ring. Pretty cool. Overall, a good back and forth in the beginning. Then, of course, Christian Cage a little bit the upper hand. And, of course, Angelico twists or weasels his way out a little bit. Shows off a few cool moves. Has Christian Cage in the ropes in a wrestling match. But of course, eventually Christian Cage would overcome it and win. And then, of course, Jack Evans, also still the same dynamic that we saw in Lucha Underground. Jack Evans then jumps Christian Cage. Christian Cage fights him off, but then from the back, Matt Hardy with a twist of fate on Christian Cage, and then Jungle Boy comes to save Christian Cage. So that was a nice start to the show, I believe. I enjoyed this a lot. Again, Angelico fan here. I hope at one point he's not just going to be like in that role, the Dolph Ziggler role, so to speak, but maybe he can eventually also, I don't know, maybe develop his character a bit further, become the star that he should be, because he's awesome. Oh, he's more like a John Morrison character right now, I think, but it would be cool. I love Angelico. Okay, what else did we have? We saw Brock Anderson coming to the ring with a dad, of course, with Cody, and then they talk, and then of course QT Marshall comes out and back and forth, and then QT Marshall takes off his belt, woohoo, and hits Arn Anderson with a belt. Of course, that's enough to set off Brock, and then Brock just double leg takedown on QT Marshall and just raining punches. And so they now set up a match with Brock Anderson for next week on AEW Dynamite. And the fun thing is, Brock Anderson looks like his dad. So, it definitely was not the milkman there. So you can see Brock Anderson looks like his dad. Again, I say it every week, not the biggest fan of all things Cody Rhodes. And this also feels like very much like a typical old school WWE segment. But at least this time around, Cody wasn't in the center of it all. So maybe I'm not that mad at it. Let's see how that all turns out next week. What was then again awesome, and there are lots of awesome matches this week, I believe, but we had Pac, Penta, and Eddie Kingston versus Brandon Cutler and his best friends, the Young Bucks. And I mean, Pac is just, they're all awesome. Like this combination is fantastic. And just Pac, of course, doesn't really want to be with Eddie Kingston, but I mean, yeah, if I have to, whatever, but refuses to high five or to tag or and so on. So he just plays this until almost the very end, which is awesome. I mean, and then again, Lucha Underground fan here, so Cero Miedo is just my kind of style here. It's awesome. I love that Penta has this role and everyone loves him and everyone screams with him. It's amazing because he was one of the two biggest stars in Lucha Underground next to Prince Puma. I wonder whatever happened to Prince Puma. Prince Puma, how about you ricochet over to AEW? That would be awesome. Yeah. Where was I? Oh, yeah, right. So Pac, Penta, and Eddie Kingston. First, they were beating down Brandon Cutler, of course, and the Young Bucks are like, Brandon Cutler, you go in first. And he didn't want to go, and then they force tagged him and just like pushed him in, kind of like, you go. And of course, they all beat him down. And then eventually, I think it was Pac who threw Brandon Cutler in the corner of the Young Bucks and like come on, now you have to. And then the match actually started getting good. And then, of course, the Young Bucks cheating in between, always trying to have like the numbers advantage over like one opponent. Brandon Cutler even hit a few good moves or distracted them, which was fine. Don Callis on commentary, awesome. Like how he placed them up. It's really fun. It's really good. So Don Callis does a great job there. And yeah, it looked like, and if you haven't watched the whole show, watch this match. This is really fun. It looked like the Young Bucks would actually pull it off eventually, but then they didn't. Kick out at 2 several times on both sides, and then eventually Pac and Eddie Kingston and Penta eventually then said, okay, whatever, it's getting tough right now. Let's just pin Brandon Cutler. So they pinned Brandon Cutler, and then of course, who comes out? Right. We saw Doc Gallows and I'm getting old. It was my birthday. No one said happy birthday, by the way, from you guys. So we see Doc Gallows and his tag team partner coming out. Oh my God, I'm getting really old. And of course, they're jumping in the ring, jumping Pac, Penta, and Eddie Kingston. And then Frankie Kazarian coming out. The Elite Hunter. I kind of like that, to be honest. It's a bit cheesy. But I kind of like it. Luke Gallows, by the way, is Carl Anderson's tag team partner. Why did it take me so long to think about that? So then Frankie Kazarian coming out, the Elite Hunter, and helping Pac, Panda, and Eddie Kingston. So a very unlikely team now there. Eddie Kingston welcomed Frankie Kazarian, like, here, come on, and like was directing him and helping him and so on. Yeah, that was cool. What was also cool, I forgot like a spot in between, was I think the Young Bucks or Brandon Cutler on the outside, and then was Pac and Eddie Kingston in the ring, and then Eddie Kingston was like pleading to Pac, come on, you and me, let's go. And then like Pac with like a moonsault, not a moonsault, like a front flip over the top rope, and Eddie Kingston and through the ropes to the outside at the same time, which was kind of nice. So showed some teamwork there. It was a fantastic match. I had so much fun. That was awesome. Watch that. That was cool. And what was kind of cool was, we knew the Pinnacle would come again, right? So the Pinnacle, then call out the Inner Circle, then every single member of the Pinnacle had to say something, which is a bit annoying to go through every single time. Inner Circle was then not in the arena, but they were outside, and then they were having baseball bat and was just demolishing the limousine of the Inner Circle, of the Pinnacle, and then camera moves to Jake Hager. He's sitting in something, camera pans out, he's sitting in a forklift, and he just rams the forklift into the limousine, pulls the limousine up, of course, destroys it. Yeah, not super innovative, but kind of old school style, and I like that, of course. So yeah, that's nice. I hope they keep the energy for this feud here. Where I missed the energy a little bit was then the next promo between Darby Allin and Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. So Darby Allin responded and said like, yeah, blah, blah, whatever, you're not under my skin. But he then also said that next time around, Sting's going to stay home so that he can take on Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page by himself. Very smart decision, Darby Allin. Very smart decision. We then saw the TNT Championship, Miro versus Evil Uno, and Evil Uno did very well in the beginning, like with his unique moveset. It was pretty cool. The Dark Order then also out there just cheering for him and so on. Of course, Negative One also there. I hope he does his schoolwork now. But eventually Miro, of course, was too much for Evil Uno, and he then just broke him, Miro style. But yeah, so I like that they keep building Miro as this dominant champion that he should be. Also nice, however, to see like people like Evil Uno getting something in and having some Brody Lee moments, just using some Brody Lee moves and so on. That was just nice to see, but also good to see that, of course, Miro continues his reign of terror with the TNT Championship. We then saw Kenny Omega and Don Callis. calling out Jungle Boy, basically running him down at his bad at promos, and he doesn't dare to come and so on. Then of course the music hits, oh, and everyone's singing along, and Jungle Boy comes, lets Kenny talk, and then Kenny's like, you suck at promos, you can't talk, and then Jungle Boy just grabs the mic and he says, you talk too much. And then and then Kenny tries to rush him. Jungle Boy sees it coming, and then of course he gets the upper hand on Kenny, but then the Young Bucks coming out, and Jungle Boy sees it and then just lets it be, and his music hits again, and the people sing again. This should be a fun match. Of course, Kenny Omega gonna win, but this should be a fun match, I believe. Then we saw one of the few real squash matches on AEW. Lance Archer bounces back from losing to Miro by squashing Chandler Hopkins. Yeah, so he had to bounce back, of course, but if you always have Archer crush people and then just feed him to another big monster, I don't know, eventually that's not going to work anymore, but okay. We then had Nyla Rose back in action versus Layla Hirsch. Layla Hirsch actually getting some offense in here, not bad, but of course eventually Nyla Rose would just be too much, too dominant, too powerful, but Layla Hirsch showed quite a few offensive moves here, which was kind of nice. The main event of the evening was then Brian Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs, still a stupid name, versus Hangman Page and 10 of the Dark Order. And again, if you haven't watched the whole show, watch this one. This was fun too. I can't even, I don't know, describe everything that happened because so many things happened there. One of the most, I don't know, important ones was happening at the end when Team Taz tried to make Brian Cage use the belt, the FTW belt, and he threw it out the ring, says, I don't need that one. And then he got smacked in the face by his team member, and then he chases his team member out into the back, so leaves Powerhouse Hobbs alone. And that's then when Adam Page and 10 get the upper hand. Buckshot lariat by Page, cover by 10, and then that's how they take this match. Alright, so that was AEW. Awesome show. I enjoyed it quite a lot, to be honest. The only thing that I didn't quite like was that squash match, and then, I mean, I'm just not the biggest Nyla Rose fan, and that has nothing to do with who Nyla Rose is. It's just, I'm not a big fan of like this just power offense, but still, I think the match down the road with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, should be fun again. So I'm looking forward to this. Other than that, great show overall. Yeah. Let's move on to, I tried to find a smooth transition. I didn't find one this week. I'll try again next time. Smackdown. And Smackdown, I've simply stated like this, even though I don't watch Raw anymore. Best thing going in WWE right now is the Uso Reigns thing. And, gossip sources say that apparently they try to set up Reigns versus The Rock for Survivor Series, or like to start a segment for WrestleMania then. Let's see about this. But right now, the Uso Reigns segment is still very intriguing, I believe. So it's fun to see here. They started off again, of course. You can see the tension. And I know that the storytelling just works here. So they, of course, they're still discussing, they're still not on the same page. They have their own locker room. Roman Reigns is like, yeah, sure, you have your own locker room, whatever. But you can see that something's going to happen. And eventually, then later down the road, eventually, they have so many segments, so maybe I just mix up the timeline a little. But eventually, then Jimmy looks at Jay looks at Jimmy and at Roman. It's like, I have enough of you, I have enough of you. And then he just leaves, and they're both like, whoa, huh? So, tension in the family, nice. Okay, then we saw like tag team action between Kevin Owens and Big E versus Apollo Crews and Sami Zayn, and back and forth, in and out. Of course, eventually, good match though. Watch it. I mean, Kevin Owens, right? So good match. It was lots of fun. Eventually, Kevin Owens and Big E would take the victory here, and of course, Apollo Crews would blame Sami Zayn for it. Later down the road, and Sami Zayn's all outraged, and then Commander Aziz would drop Sami Zayn, of course, and so then next week we will see Kevin Owens and Big E versus Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz, because he's really reliable or relatable. No, not relatable, reliable. That's the word. Not a big fan of the overall storyline with Apollo Crews and the fake Nigerian accent, because come on, man, drop it. You can be Nigerian without having the fake accent, but still the matches are fun, so that's cool. Let's see if Sami Zayn like completely ticks out and then does something even more stupid. We then go back, or we saw backstage action between Chad Gable and the Street Profits, who Chad Gable apologized for Otis last week because he attacked the Street Profits. The Street Profits said, yeah, man, if you can't handle Otis, we can. And then Chad Gable said, hey, just to make up for it, I'm going to face one of you guys later down the road, whoever wants it. And Montez Ford said, I'm going to do it. All right, so then we saw another rematch. We saw Carmella versus Liv Morgan. And Carmella all like showing off and like asking the commentators, like, tell me how beautiful I am, or tell the people how beautiful I am, or whatever. Eventually it was Liv Morgan, however, who this time triumphed. Good on Liv Morgan. Good on him for giving Liv Morgan a win. But now it looks like they're just trading wins, so I'm not sure where this goes. But yeah, it's decent. I think the women's division would need some more intrigue, though, I believe. We had a return of Ding Dong Hello, which got huge praise online, and I really don't know why. I wonder why. With like Bailey hosting and Seth Rollins being there and it just being two pricks. It's kind of funny, but it's not that funny. So let's just move on from those segments. I'm so glad AEW doesn't have those segments. It's Cody, no, no. All right, then we saw Chad Gable versus Montez Ford, and eventually things would break down. Of course, Otis, is not at home. He would attack backstage, and then, of course, would also interfere. So then Montez Ford eventually wins via DQ. This is all very chaotic. I understand it, but I also would love to see just Chad Gable having Chad Gable matches. That would be so nice. Then. Let's just get out of the way. Shinsuke Nakamura versus King Corbin one more time. Shinsuke wins again, but King Corbin tries to steal the crown, but then I forgot the name. Stupid guitar player is there, and then they scramble, and then Shinsuke steals the crown again. And so for next week, Adam Pearce made the match for the crown between Shinsuke Nakamura and King Corbin. This is so boring by now, and I feel so bad for Shinsuke Nakamura, and it's so annoying. All right. Then, here I have it in my notes. Okay, then we saw Jey Uso walking out on Jimmy and Roman, so that's what I said earlier. And then eventually Rey Mysterio would call out Roman Reigns. He's like, Roman. No, that's not a Mexican accent. Whatever. He says, Roman, you hurt my boy, and so on. So even if it means you're going through pain and whatnot, I'm going to come for you. I want you at Hell in a Cell. That's going to be the funeral for Rey Mysterio. But I mean, he already lost an eye, so how bad can it be, right? And of course, then all hell breaks loose. Roman just kills everybody, of course. And yeah, I guess that means it's accepted. So I like the Roman and Uso thing. I'm not a big fan of the Mysterios versus Rey versus Roman thing, because he decimated them several times already. So they're gonna eventually want to have Dominic face Roman, I guess, down the road, but maybe it's gonna be like 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. So far, I'm not the biggest fan of this one right now. And if that really is the match to make for Hell in a Cell, then I'm rather sure Roman is going to just kill Rey Mysterio, which I don't want to really see, to be honest. All right, so overall, I think SmackDown was fine for what it was again. Not bad, but AEW, for me personally, takes this week again. Let me know what you think. Call me a Tony Khan fanboy or whatever. Let me know in the comments on social media or by email, funkitpod@gmail.com. Until then, don't forget to always kick out the 2. Take care, stay safe. See you next time.